It's Friday, June 24th, and it's time for your Barbados Today morning news update. Over 60 students from 8 secondary schools in Barbados will file a challenge in the Court of Appeal as early as next week after losing their case against the Caribbean Examinations Council on Wednesday. Madam Justice Michelle Weeks struck out the claim of the students and their parents who were seeking a judicial review of last year's CXC exams and those pending for this year. The judge held that the Barbados-based regional examination body has by law immunity from all legal processes. However, attorney-at-law Liesl Weeks on Thursday indicated that she was not convinced that the local high court was altogether correct in its decision to throw out her client's case. Weeks said while her side was waiting for a date for a hearing on the issue of costs, there was nothing preventing them from proceeding to the Court of Appeal to challenge the substantive orders of the High Court. Inconsiderate and ill-conceived. That's how the president of the Barbados Union of Teachers, Pedro Shepherd, has described the government's Bounce Back summer school program, which is intended to bring students up to speed with their lessons. During an address last evening, Shepherd said the disruptions and adjustments brought on by the year-long COVID-19 pandemic and the recent volcanic ashfall have taken a toll on teachers and students, and they need a break.
How would 3 weeks of summer school resolve the deficits for students who are already mentally tired, exhausted, stressed, and worn out by the vagaries of the lockdowns, curfews, protocols, alphabet system, etc., caused by the pandemic? Some consideration and greater compassion needs to be shown to these students and their mental health challenges, which they would have endured during this crisis. Students really need the summer to play, to rest, to relax, and to recharge. This is therefore an opportunity for them to further develop their social skills. It is the view of the Barbados Union of Teachers that this proposal will lead to significant burnout of the students. Any deficits can be accounted for in the upcoming school year.
Shepherd also questioned whether government had given consideration to the annual summer school repair program with this initiative.
The Barbados Union of Teachers queries what will happen to the annual summer school repair program. Given the summer school proposal, it can be concluded that there will be no such program this year, or will there be a clash of events on some school plans? The union has taken note of the fact that the Ministry of Education has now made the proposal for summer school voluntary for those who want to participate, even though all the major stakeholders have rejected it. The union notes that it deeply cares for the health and welfare of its members and the students of this country, but it is strong in its resolve that this proposal is inconsiderate and ill-conceived. Therefore, until our members say different, the Barbados Union of Teachers rejects any notion of summer school which involve teachers who are currently in active service, whether temporary or permanent.
Several young people were given the opportunity to enter the world of work over the past 2 days. Elizabeth Bowen, Senior Youth Commissioner in the Ministry of Youth, Sports and Community Empowerment, spoke to reporters about the initiative during the ministry's Get Hired event, which was held at Sky Mall.
This 2-day Get Hired seminar really prepares young persons to transition into the world of work, but it is a robust employability type of training. Young persons coming to this training are between 75% to 90% job ready, meaning that they would have had some previous work experience, they already have a prepared CV, and literally all they need is an opportunity or a door open with an employer. So yesterday was basically some prep. And what we did some team building activities. We did some interview tips where they had a chance to do some trial runs of the interview, and we also did a bit of ethical behavior in the workplace, reminding them of the expected standards within the work environment. So it went really well, and we had about 20 or so young persons. So today now is the big day, the day in which they get to engage with the actual employer, because employers coming to the Get Hired program have available jobs. Or the reason you're here is because you have an opportunity for a young person.
There's regional and international news after this short break.
Barbados Today, news you can trust.
To news from our regional neighbors now. Diabetes and hypertension are major contributing factors in persons who died from COVID-19. That's according to a preliminary study done in Guyana by health officials. More in this report from Gordon Mosley of News Source, Guyana.
Health Minister Dr. Frank Anthony today revealed that a study of 202 of the more than 455 deaths has found that more than 30% of the patients who died suffered from hypertension, while 28% of them were diabetic. The other comorbidities that may have contributed to COVID deaths include kidney disease and heart ailments.
One of the analysis that was done, we didn't complete as yet all 400 and something deaths that have occurred, but we were able to do a preliminary analysis of about 202 of those deaths, and in that very preliminary analysis, one of the things that we have noticed is that for African Guyanese, the deaths have been at 36.6%, Amerindians at 28.2%, and East Indians at 23.3%, mixed races being at 11.4%. So, as I said, this is an incomplete study, but if this trend holds true, then it's something that we'll have to investigate further.
In its study of the 202 deaths, the Ministry of Health also found that 36.6% of those persons were Afro-Guyanese, while 28.2% were Amerindians and 23.3% were Indo-Guyanese. Persons identified as being of mixed race represented 11.4% of the COVID deaths.
And finally, on the international front, rescuers continue to search for survivors trapped among the rubble of a collapsed 12-story residential building north of Miami. Officials say at least one person has been killed and dozens more are missing. What caused the 40-year-old building to collapse early on Thursday morning remains unclear.
Buried under a wing of this 12-story luxury condo building, its piles of rubble and twisted steel, lies a mystery. What went wrong?
They are going to have engineers looking at this to try to identify what happened and what was the problematic occurrence.
This study from a researcher at Florida International University found that the building, constructed 40 years ago on reclaimed wetlands, has been sinking at a rate of 2 millimeters a year for the last 3 decades. That may also have impacted the building structurally. The town of Surfside requires multi-family buildings like this 136-unit property to be recertified every 40 years. The process involves electrical and structural inspections of the foundation, beams, columns, slabs, and the roof, where work was happening. Those inspections were underway for the building, but had not yet been completed.
Buildings don't collapse, especially not like this, especially not without any reason or indication or anything like that.
Sanisha Kolar, a structural engineer, was in the building a year ago. Based on the videos he's seen, Kolar suspects multiple failures.
Most likely columns or some log-bearing beams that caused a first local collapse based on the videos. Is it some form of cracking or something that overloaded the structure or something like that? I think it's all speculation.
That's news. But for the very latest, visit us at www.barbadostoday.bb. You can also subscribe to our e-paper, email updates, or like us on Facebook, and sign up for our breaking news alerts via WhatsApp. We're also on Izumi Media in bus terminals, as well as screenplay at supermarkets and gas stations near you. And you can also hear us on Mix 96.9 FM and Capital Media HD 99.3 FM.